presenting the only podcast dedicated to the AHL's Colorado Eagles. This is the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast. Here are your hosts, CC Hawkley and Scott MacDonald.
Well, howdy, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to us. This is the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast. My name is CC Hawkley.
I'm Scott MacDonald. Happy to be back. Happy to be talking hockey as always.
Happy to be adjusting his new snazzy headset that he's wearing.
Yeah, I hope I'm coming through a lot clearer. Giving you guys a treat.
Yeah, no, I mean, you were coming through just fine with your internal mic there on your computer, and we are enjoying some nice libations tonight.
Some adult beverages, yeah.
Beverages.
We'll loosen up a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is episode number 8 of the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast, and if you haven't heard, I'm going to be moving from the Sin Bin to Best Hockey. Going to be spearheading the AHL coverage over on that website. It was, as the Corleone said, it's an offer I couldn't refuse. So it was great. So yeah,
I'm happy for you, buddy. It's going to be, sounds like a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Moving on up. I love that.
Yes, sir. And the podcasts are coming with. So both In the Corners and Tape to Tape are going to be rebranded in the move. So I don't think I've told anybody yet. So I might as well kind of spill the beans a little bit. Well, tell you what, I'll spill the beans for the Tape to Tape podcast because I want to keep the In the Corners rebrand a secret up until we record. It's not on film. Everything's digital, but everything, once we record our final episode of In the Corners on Tuesday, December 29th. So I'll put that aside for now, but Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast is going to be renamed the Front Range Hockey Podcast, and we are going to expand. We're not just going to cover the Avalanche and the Eagles. Scott, as many of you listeners know, also writes about the Denver Pioneers, the Pios, for college hockey. And so we're going to cover them. And we're also going to dive in and cover a little bit of Colorado College, a little bit of Air Force hockey as well. So we're going to expand. We're going to be truly front range hockey. And we're going to be covering, like I said, a lot of different teams, not just at the professional level, but at the collegiate level as well. So this is it. Episode number 8 will be technically the last episode of the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast. Again, it deserves a cheers. It is a true, it's a true turning of the page. So cheers, my man.
Cheers to that. Excited for this new opportunity. Excited to, definitely broaden our horizons. That's kind of, you don't want to be stagnant for too long. And we're broadening our fan base too. College hockey, we got some good teams here in Colorado, and they're worth talking about. And the DU Pioneers, CC is always good, and Air Force. Why not talk about them? I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd be kind of remiss to not cover, because college hockey has had a very big imprint here along the Front Range Mountains, and so why not? So anyway, let's see here. There was another point of interest I was going to bring up, and I'm spacing on it, of course.
Got too excited, yeah.
Got a little too excited, yeah. No, Scott and I, we were invited on as guests onto the Mile High podcast. Mile High
Pundit, yeah.
Pundit, thank you. I was like, there's a P in there, and I'm forgetting it. I promise this is my first beer. But yeah, the Mile High Pundit podcast. Whew, had a bit of a brain fart. It's been a long day, but we're recording this in the evening, and had to work the day job, so a little fatigued, a little tired, but that's all right. They asked at the beginning of the show what everyone was enjoying beverage wise, and so I was kind of inspired and wanted to do the same. So Scott, what kind of adult beverage are you enjoying this evening?
I went local. Odell Brewing, based out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Represent. Nice. I got the IPA, and I got one in the pocket too. So I'll be cracking a couple IPAs. That's all we had left at the house. So
hey, there you go.
A couple 7% beers. Why not? It's a Thursday, and we're gonna have a good time.
Very nice. As for me, I went local as well, except not Fort Collins, Littleton, Breckenridge Brewery. And I've got me a nice Avalanche Amber Ale, 4.5% volume alcohol, but hey, it's a nice, unwind beer to.
It's refreshing. Yeah.
It's very refreshing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love me some Breck Brew. Talked about that on the Mile High Pundit podcast too. But anyway, we're just kind of a laid back attitude, very celebratory. It's a new era going to be coming up, and so we're excited about that. New era, new year. So we're stoked. We're stoked about it, and it's leaving me at a loss for words. So I'll just start the main portion of the show. First things first, as I have the burps from this amber ale. It just does it to me every time. Doesn't matter what beer I'm drinking. But first things first, the Colorado Sky Eagles jerseys were released like the day after we recorded our last episode in the middle of November. So today, as you watch this, it's probably December 18th, Friday. Hopefully, if not, then you're listening later, and that's fine too. But yeah, the Colorado Sky jerseys. We talked a little bit about this on the In the Corners podcast, and now I'm gonna have to pull it up on the ColoradoEagles.com website, the main website they have there, because I want the listeners at home to take a look at them again. And it says shop now, but we'll see. Yeah, product related jerseys. Yeah. Let's see here. All right. So
I'm excited about these though. These things are they're nice. It's a total rebrand. Like when I first heard about this a couple months back, I was not, I kind of had some ideas from sources that wouldn't tell me. Like normally they would tell me these kinds of things, but they kept it very, very lock and key. So I knew it was going to be, and I knew it was going to be like a total kind of like rebrand, but I thought they're going to go, full burgundy and blue. I thought they're going to go with, more Avalanche colors. And I pointed that out, like a lot of the AHL teams, like, I don't even know how many it is, but I would say it's probably like 75, 80%, at least feature some of the colors of their NHL affiliate team. So I thought that's kind of where the Eagles were going to go with it, and maybe incorporate more of that third jersey that we saw them unveil last year. That was just pretty much, a replica of the Avs home jersey with that beautiful silver Eagles logo on top. So I thought they're going to kind of go with that and like run with that full time, but they threw us all a curveball and went with a total different color. Well, it's not really technically a total different color, but
right,
it's something different, and I think I like it, and I like that they're wearing those white ones at home instead of those blue ones. I think those look very clean. I prefer the white one for sure.
Yeah. No, let me pull this up real quick. I'll do a share screen and Chrome tab jerseys. Let's do it. Okay. There it is. There's the blue one right there.
Boom.
As you can see. And it's definitely a throwback to the 14-15 season for the Avalanche when they kind of had their blueberry jerseys.
The blueberries, yeah.
Yep, exactly. And I found some old pictures of Peter Stastny. No, try his son.
Paul Stastny.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Going way too far back. Going northeast. But no, Paul Stastny, Matt Duchene, Semyon Varlamov. All the old Avs wearing those jerseys kind of reminds me of that. We'll scroll down and you'll see on the left here the white replica jersey for 2020-21. And then, of course, the one that you mentioned, the going all Avalanche here with the silver logo. And, of course, one of my favorite Eagles jerseys of all time, as we talked about when they did the tournament bracket. But, yeah, I mean, there you have it. I mean, I'm really digging the blue. I mean, it's just different enough from the Avalanche blue that they use, but it just kind of ties it in a little bit to the affiliation as well, especially with that diagonal font and the blue jersey deal that they have going on. So, and now let's see. I got a stop screen. There we go. Now we're back to being you, Scott. So, but yeah, the jerseys look real clean. Hopefully February 5th, the tentative start date for the AHL rather. That's when they'll be able to debut those jerseys and show off that Colorado Sky collection for the season. So
yeah, I'm not sure, fans are going to be able to see it in person. That's the unfortunate thing. So I guess everyone's going to kind of have to hold their opinions until they see it in real life. And that might be, the 21-22 season. But I like them. You know, let's hope they show up well on AHL.TV, and hopefully we'll even get a season. That's something we're all kind of waiting on. But
yeah,
we talk about that too. I mean, that's a good place to start. I mean, it is at the day of recording right now. It is the 17th of December. We're less than a month away from, you know, when the NHL said that they're going to plan on starting, which is January 13th.
Right.
And I think it might happen. They haven't made an official announcement yet, but I know the board of governors have been talking every day, and I think it's going to happen. And we might have training camp in less than 2 weeks coming up. And I think that's kind of the AHL might be holding off a little bit until the NHL, you know, releases their plans. But I do think, you know, a couple weeks ago, I probably couldn't have said the same thing. I really didn't think we were going to have like hockey this year. I was being kind of pessimistic about it, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. And let's hope that translates to the AHL.
Yeah, because I know that they're really forging ahead with that January 13th start date for the NHL. And if that goes through, and, you know, we talked about it on In the Corners, of course, because it's AHL news. The fact that they've got the vaccine and they're distributing it, and they are starting to give it to the first wave of folks. You know, they broke it up into essentially 4 waves, but they kind of did a 1A, 1B for healthcare workers, different tiers. And then 2 is going to be more of the like essential workers from what I saw. And then phase 3 is going to be the general population. So general population is looking at summer. So maybe, you know, once we get there, things will go well. But in the meantime, yeah, the NHL and the AHL, especially the NHL is forging ahead. And we'll see if the AHL we'll see if they'll stick to that February 5th start date, and we'll just wait and see. We said the past 7 episodes before this.
Right.
Yeah.
Last I heard, I mean, they do have like a plan, you know, in place. The last like reports I've heard and seen, and from people I've talked to, I think right now what's on the table, it's like a 44 game season. Just they're going to kind of follow the NHL's path and do just all intra division. And then, you know, the 4 Canadian AHL teams will play in their own all Canadian division, as the Canada border still remains closed and will be for probably quite some time. But yeah, I mean, that's good that they have something on the table and they've been talking about it. And I think they're kind of just following the same path that the NHL is, you know, as you might expect, being their, you know, their direct top developmental league. They're kind of just taking notes from them. But yeah, I think it's possible. And I think, yeah, the more you delay it, you know, February 5th, it gives more time for people to be vaccinated. And I still don't think fans are going to be, you know, allowed, but there is like rumors that potentially down the road, they might have like midway through the season or whatever it might be, they might allow some fans in, like 50% capacity, kind of what the NFL is doing. So we'll see. But I mean, it's a work in progress, as life is in this year 2020. But good signs for sure. Optimistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ECHL, I know, is kind of doing the 50% thing right now. Little sidebar here, side note in regards to that. The Grizzlies canceled their home opener on the weekend with the Tulsa Oilers, December 19th and 20th. Rumor has it because of some positive COVID tests with Rapid City. And so, yeah, the Grizzlies,
interesting they called it safety precautions and not directly saying it's COVID, but I guess that's kind of how hockey's always been. It's like upper body, lower body injury kind of thing. They never specify what it is, which that's okay. But
right. Well, I mean, and then the ECHL has the commissioners, basically the commissioners exempt list. And they call, that's just a fancy way of calling it the COVID-19 IR list that they've got going on in the NFL. And so they've got that not just for people who have contracted COVID, but for those that have come in close contact, a la Brandon McManus, the Denver Broncos kicker, who will not be participating.
He's on my fantasy team too. I'm gonna have to drop him and pick someone up. That's a bummer. He's been doing pretty well for me. But
it's playoff time. That's brutal.
I know.
That is so brutal.
And I'm playing for 3rd place now anyway. It doesn't matter. I lost in the first round. It was a rough year for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's difficult. I lost in the first round by 3 points because I picked New Orleans as a defense because, slam dunk against Philly. Not so much. Jalen Hurts showing out.
Yeah.
Oh, Yeah. So
You had the right idea, though.
Yeah, I did. I should have picked the Rams. They had like 25 points against the Patriots.
That was my defense, and I still lost. They scored like 20 points, and yeah. The guy I was playing, it's actually my roommate, funny enough. So I heard a lot of the shit talking, if you will.
Sure.
Pardon my French. It is what it is. He had 4 guys that put up 30 points, so it's gonna be tough to win when that's happening. But
yeah, no, that's brutal. Fantasy football giveth and fantasy football taketh away. That's for sure.
Yes, that's a fact.
But yeah, so aside from our fantasy
anyway,
sports teams, no, you're good. You're good. We're just shooting the breeze here, shooting the shit, as it were.
There you go.
So yeah, let's head over to some Colorado Eagles news after bouncing around a little bit, talking about the jerseys and everything. Yeah, in the past month, they've had one signing announcement, and it's a big one. In fact, it's a Big Tuna. Liam Big Tuna O'Brien. What a hell of a nickname. Love that.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I think that might be an Office reference. That was Jim's nickname.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, it was Big Tuna.
Okay.
I think Andy. Yeah, Andy gave him that. The Office is like my favorite show of all time. But I think I want to like ask him about that. I hope I get the chance to talk to him at some point this year. But I'm going to ask him if that's what it is. Because if it is an Office reference, he just instantly became my favorite player on the Eagles. No doubt.
Sure, for sure. No, I will confess that I never really watched The Office. Maybe an episode here or there. I know.
Oh man, I've seen it all the way through, like probably 5 or 6 times now at this point.
Oh wow,
it's the greatest show of all time, man. You got to get on that. They're about to take it off Netflix too, so you only got like 2 weeks, I think, before they take it off.
Okay, let me tell you this real quick. So TV and movies weren't really my thing when I was growing up. I was very involved in music. Like music was my thing. I listened to music a lot. I played music a lot. And because of that, other pop culture things in the TV and movie realm suffered. And so, for example, I've never read the Harry Potter books, and
dude,
as of 2 months ago, I had never seen any of the movies.
However, kidding me.
I know. My best friend down in Lakewood let me borrow the DVDs. And so I am almost done watching the Harry Potter movies. All we have left, me and my girlfriend, are Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. So I'm getting better. She is educating me. You know, we've watched Shameless together, which is ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous TV shows I've ever watched. We watched The Witcher together. We watched, I'm trying to think. We're watching The Blacklist right now. Like all of these great TV shows and movies. Like my girlfriend is helping acclimate me after years of neglect.
So you're just a little bit behind, but you're catching up. That's good.
I'm trying, and she's helping. So, but again, we're kind of getting off track, and that's okay.
We're having fun on the last episode here.
It is, yeah.
That's okay.
You know what? This is what
we'll talk hockey eventually.
We will, and this is how it's supposed to be. You know, just easy going. You know, I'll rein us in every now and again, but hey, you're getting to know Scott and myself a little bit more through this too. So we're people. We have other interests other than hockey. It's just how it goes. Like I didn't know that about Scott, that he actually, you know, was a huge Office fan. So today I learned as well. So
and I learned something I would rather not learn about you, that you've never seen The Office. So
come on.
That's got to be your next one though. I mean, I'm telling you, like I think they're taking it off like January 1st. So you got 14 days starting now. It's a big project. It's like 8 seasons. So
I can't do it, but sorry.
Right, well,
there's a lot.
I'll forgive you. It's fine.
Okay.
I will find a way to forgive you.
I appreciate the recommend. You know this. So
yeah.
Okay. Back to Big Tuna.
Hockey.
Liam O'Brien announced on November 27th as a signing after spending a good number of seasons with the Hershey Bears, 370 AHL games over 6 seasons with Hershey. Also played with the Washington Capitals, Hershey's AHL affiliate. 1 goal, 1 assist in 13 games played. His AHL totals 63 goals, 74 assists, and 639 penalty minutes accrued. Boy, this man is not afraid to throw down.
Not afraid, yeah.
No, not at all. 26, still fairly young. I mean, I know AHL standards anywhere between 25 and 30. you know, you could have played 5 or 6 seasons up to that point if you're that old. But man, I feel like he's he's a seasoned veteran, but I still feel like he's a young 26. But yeah, like he not only is not afraid to throw down and really, obviously fight, but he's also kind of there in the big moments of games. Like Corey Schwartz covering the Hershey Bears for the Sin Bin, you know, talking about how he just comes up big in these moments, big fight with Tom Sestito, Game 5 of the East Division Finals 2016. Huge goal in Game 3 of the first round against Bridgeport last season. He comes up big and, bringing that leadership, wearing, I believe he wore the A last season for Hershey. I mean, he's a big acquisition for the Eagles. And especially as Scott, you and I have talked about ad nauseum, the Eagles needed more grit. They needed more of those sandpaper guys, not to just rub people the wrong way, but to throw down if need be. And Liam O'Brien just adds to that.
Certainly fits that bill. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the Mile High Pundits podcast, which you guys should definitely check out. We had a good time on there. Shot the shit for about 2.5 hours. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously, the Eagles had a game plan heading into the offseason, and it was to get big and it was to get mean, which is interesting because, we talked about it a little bit. It doesn't really fit the Avs identity. They're more of like, I guess, a smaller team, and they're kind of they're fast and they're more skilled players. And then you have the Eagles who are about to just be the bruisers. They're mean. They got big. They got a bunch of guys over 200 pounds, over 6 foot tall. And yeah, Liam O'Brien is kind of just the cherry on top as the last signing. It's like, why not? Why not get that guy who's gonna step up for your team? And I love it. I think it's gonna be a fun team. It kind of embodies the minor league. It's kind of known for having some of those goonish kind of guys, and the more physical kind of stuff in the smaller markets. It's fun to watch, and I think it's gonna be a fun Eagles team. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
I think the most fun Eagles team, at least in the AHL iteration of the franchise. I mean, this is only going to be their 3rd season, but I think, they're really, really going to, fun is a great word for it, because they're going to maintain a lot of the scoring that they did from seasons past, but they're also going to bring in these guys to, kind of agitate the other team and be the antagonists a little bit. And so, it's going to be, especially, like you said, with Liam O'Brien coming in as the cherry on top. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that means that there are 3 or 4. There were 4 unknowns coming into this episode. 2 of them have been resolved. First one was Erik Condra. Now, Condra, kind of up in the air, veteran signing by the Eagles last year after spending, a number of seasons all over the place in the AHL. But Condra took a position. He was hired on as a player development coach for the Chicago Blackhawks on November 23rd. So he's done. His playing career's over, and he's going to be developing skaters for Chicago in the NHL. And good for him. I mean,
absolutely.
You can't fault the guy. He's staying in the sport, but he's done playing. So that.
I could have told you that's exactly what he's going to end up doing. That's just the kind of guy he is. He's a leader on and off the ice. He's the man of the year in a lot of circles. Whether it's the AHL, whatever. I think he might have won the Eagles award for best community player or something like that. Something along those lines. I don't know what the title is, but he's just a great guy, on and off the ice. And I could have told you he's probably going to be a GM, something like that, or an assistant coach. And sure enough, he became, skills development guy. And I think he's the kind of guy you want to have in a locker room, especially teaching some of these young guys. And that's kind of why the Eagles brought him in last year to mentor the Shane Bowers and the Martin Kauts of the Avalanche organization. And I'm happy for him. I'm wishing nothing but the best. Hopefully he gets to settle down, because he's a huge family man. He's got some kids, and hopefully he's kind of just over the last few years bounced around from town to town, and hopefully he and his kids, his family, get to settle down in Chicago and enjoy a long career there. And I'm happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he 34 years old, played 362 AHL games, 372 NHL games. I mean, the man, and it looks like, quite the journeyman, played for the Binghamton Senators, the Ottawa Senators, Tampa Bay and Syracuse, splitting time between them back in 15, 16, and from 15 to 17, 18 rather. And, Dallas Stars, Texas Stars organization in 1819, of course, played for the Eagles in 1920. So it's like, like you said, having a chance to put down some roots and really, create a stable living situation for his family. I can imagine the life of a hockey player is very, transitory. You're moving from place to place, especially at the AHL level when you're trying to prove yourself. And, a lot of guys don't stay with the same teams for a long period of time. So, so good on him. He's moving on and becoming a coach. Again, like you said, you could see that in him, just had that leadership quality, wore the C for Syracuse, alternate captain for the Texas Stars. Not a big surprise that he went into coaching, and player development coach for that matter. Still young enough to relate to a lot of the veterans for sure.
And he can skate on the ice for sure and keep up.
There you go. Absolutely.
That's a big key.
For sure. Second one that was resolved since our last episode, I asked about him as well. Michael Joly, Mr. Colorado Eagles for the past few seasons. For both the ECHL and the AHL level. Signs with the Wheeling Nailers of the ECHL. And that was announced on November 24th. Again, spoke on it a little bit on the Mile High Pundit podcast. Once again, be sure to go check that out if you haven't. But Michael Joly, going back to the ECHL after playing exclusively in the AHL for the past 2 seasons for the Eagles. Didn't see time down with the Utah Grizzlies or anything. Pretty solid force line presence like we've said before on the show. But Scott, we also talked about why he made this decision, or at least we had some conjecture on why. And I mean, your thoughts on why he signed over in Wheeling, West Virginia?
Yeah, well, no, I was going to ask you. Oh gosh, I got it pulled up right now. There was an article. Sure. I think I retweeted it. Someone wrote. I forgot what website this is. Flowhockey.tv. Winter is coming. Uber talented Michael Joly is hoping for a rebound shot. And it was actually it was a really, really awesome article. It was kind of, I urge all Eagles fans to give it a read, because it kind of might give you that closure that you want. Because he was, he's a fan favorite. He's did big things for the ECHL. Eagles obviously won the MVP, and then earned a shot in the AHL with the Eagles and did fairly well. But he kind of confirmed what we were all of our suspicions, and it was just the fact that the money's not there. And that's part of the cruel world that we live in right now in the year 2020 with all this COVID stuff going on. Is whether it's a marketing job or you're a big wig that works in downtown Denver, you're a minor league hockey player, the job market just sucks right now. And that's kind of what he said in this article. It's like, I mean, he just didn't have the chance. And you kind of talked about this too, like, to get back to your original point about why he signed with Wheeling. I think he mentioned in the article that he'd want to be, closer to home, which you kind of predicted a few weeks ago might have been the reason why he signed there.
I did.
But yeah, I want to share this quote that I tweeted, and he said, "I still believe I have a chance. I'm just 25. It sucks that this COVID stuff had to happen this year. This was my year to rebound, since I didn't have a really good year last year. If it doesn't work out here, I'll go to Europe. Hopefully, I can play here in North America and try to get a spot in the NHL." And that's really like his dream. Like, I talked to him. I did an article when I was interning with the Eagles about that. He was one of the first guys I talked to, and it was pretty much like he wants it bad. He wants to be in the NHL, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. And it kind of sucks it didn't work out here, but it's a financial thing. It's a money thing. And again, just like we said about Condra, wish him nothing but the best in Wheeling. And I think he might, after this year, when money becomes a little more prolific, hopefully in the 2021-22 season, I think there's a strong chance he might come back to Colorado. I'm not ruling that out, and I hope he does. I think a lot of people probably share that same feeling.
Right, especially if rosters are expanded or they need to be expanded because of positive or close contact COVID, scares and things like that. There's absolutely no reason why he wouldn't come back, especially since the Wheeling Nailers are in the ECHL and his AHL rights are up for grabs again. So like you said, predicting close to home there in Quebec. And with the North Division opting out in the ECHL, and teams that are kind of close to Wheeling over in the ECHL Central Division, like a Kalamazoo or Toledo or Fort Wayne. Toledo and Fort Wayne are hopefully going to get started in February. That's their goal, to jump in on the 11-team league. Currently, right now, they're at 13 teams, but like I said, those two are choosing not to play until February, or maybe mandated. It's hard to say, but Wheeling, West Virginia, 820 miles from Quebec. So at least Quebec City, I should say. That just popping there on Google Maps. But yeah, it's there's no reason why he can't come back. And so that's not the end all be all. And I think fans should definitely, hold their hopes, especially since the AHL season doesn't start for less than 2 months, or at least supposedly less than 2 months. We'll see.
Yeah.
But there you go. Michael Jolie, Erik Condra, both of those questions answered. And that leaves two guys from last season that we still don't know what they're going to do, or what they are doing, at least in the public realm. And that is Kevin Connauton, of course, and Julien Nantel. And Kevin Connauton, 30 years old, pro since 2010, 314 NHL games played, 259 AHL games played. He's put in quite a few seasons between those two leagues. And at 30 years old, maybe he calls it. Maybe he retires. I don't know.
Yeah, he was kind of a surprising one to me. Like maybe it is because like the veteran minimum or whatever that is for contracts, maybe a lot of teams just couldn't afford him and he wasn't willing to go down on his price. But I think he was, one of the better, especially if you're trying to get a veteran AHL defenseman. I think he's the guy. Like he's a great guy to mentor, younger AHL teams. And I'm shocked that he didn't, get a contract offer anywhere. And again, it's just going back to the Jolie thing, going back to a lot of, contract issues. It's because of COVID. The money's just like not there. I think all these guys, all these free agents we're talking about would have been re-signed in a normal year. And unfortunately, it's not a normal year. It's been anything but that. We all know that. But shocked. I think if these guys that haven't been signed yet, I don't think they will get signed, because the ECHL season already started for half the teams, and the AHL, who knows? I guess you got time on the AHL. It could be until February, but yeah, who knows? It's tough, but I think he's got to be probably the best defensive free agent out there right now.
Yeah, and when you've got the Avalanche bringing in guys like Kyle Burrows from Bridgeport that we talked about, Dennis Gilbert acquired from the Chicago Blackhawks organization in the Brandon Saad trade. When you bring in those two guys, and then you already have, two of your top defensemen and Dan Renouf and Connor Timmins coming back, and then some, you bring in Keaton Middleton from San Jose, and then of course you have your kind of AHL, ECHL borderline guys like a Peter Tischke, Josh Anderson, Kevin Davis. You've got 9 defensemen on the Colorado Eagles roster currently. And so, that it could be just kind of an odd man out thing. Like it just maybe the Avalanche kind of forced the Eagles' hand in regards to, who they're signing and who they're bringing in. But yeah, I mean, it's pure kind of conjecture as to, as to these unknowns, like a Julien Nantel. I mean, 24 years old, younger guy. So there's no reason for him to stop playing unless there's some, extenuating circumstances that we don't know about. That can always happen. 187 AHL games played, 33 ECHL games played, 7th round draft pick for the Avs in 2014, and it could just be another situation of odd man out. Like I ran down the defenseman in regards to Kevin Connauton, just maybe didn't find a chair at the table. Could be the same for Julien Nantel, especially with all the forwards and, especially with Liam O'Brien being the cherry on top.
Right.
Does Dantel have a spot in the organization anymore?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys. He had his chance. He was a draft pick a few years ago, and he played plenty in the AHL, and I think he just didn't impress. He didn't stand out enough to secure another contract, and that's unfortunate. That's the way it goes. But yeah, he's another great talent. He's super young, obviously, and I think he'd be quite the grab for a lot of teams. Actually, fun story to share about Nantel as well. Sure. So yeah, I used to wait tables on 16th Street in Denver, which is a big tourist trap. If you guys are familiar with the Colorado landscape. He actually came in. This was like mid-season. I don't want to like, bash the guy, but he came in like mid-season for some happy hour. And at this establishment I worked at, they offered bottomless margaritas, and let's just say he was indulging. So that was kind of an interesting sight to see. I'm not saying that's the reason why, he didn't get a contract or whatever. He has a drinking problem, but it's just fun to see athletes like, outside of their element and kind of just having fun like the rest of us laymen. So fun little story. Just wanted to share. Like, he likes to have fun for sure. He's definitely, I would say he likes to party. But I'm not. Yeah, again, I want to make that clear. I don't think that's why he didn't get a contract. Just a fun story I wanted to share.
Sure. With the name coming up and everything, it's like when the Dallas Stars a couple summers ago played. Yeah, well, they had their training camp. They held their training camp in Boise in the summer of 2018, and to see the Dallas Stars roster, walking around, the Tyler Sagans, the Jamie Benns, the John Klingbergs. I actually was at a crosswalk with John Klingberg. Walking away from the arena, and it's like, hey, how do you like Boise? And he goes, oh, it's a nice city. It's a nice place. I like it here. And so, just kind of chit-chatting with some small talk with, one of the elite young defensemen in the NHL. It's like, wow. Yeah. When you see him out beyond the ice and everything, it's quite a different thing.
Yeah.
Because we're used to being around them right after the game, and they're all suited up and everything like that. But to see them out and about and their nice dress coats and such, it's it's a bit of a kind of a reality check. Like, wow, okay, these guys are people too. So
yeah, it's easy to get lost in the limelight and the superstardom, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, they like to have fun. They like to grab a drink with their friends, go to happy hour, just like the rest of us, and they just happen to be elite athletes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, our daytime jobs. People, if they came in and into our day jobs and saw how we worked, it's like, wow, you guys are hockey pundits, and that's where I'm familiar with you is being a hockey pundit. But to see us at our daytime jobs would be a bit of a an eye-opening experience for anybody, for sure. But yeah, those are the two unknowns left, just two. Then there were two, and that is Kevin Connauton, Julien Nantel. So Eagles roster looking pretty stacked for the hopeful start date of February 5th. Mm-hmm. And that's really all I have for the Eagles news and notes that we have in our second category there. So my favorite segment of the show is Asking the Feed, which of course we go on social media. We ask the folks, hey, you got any questions about the Avalanche or the Eagles organizations? And first up, we had at Duffy C, DUFFEYC, and this Twitter username is Duffman, says a lot of things. And Duffman can't die, only the actors who portray him. All right, Duffman.
Yeah, I love the Simpsons reference.
Yes, me too. Me too. Any idea if Bowen or Newhook will play in the NHL in 2021? I feel like we've gotten this question a few times.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what's on everyone's mind. It's like they're the top two prospects for the Avalanche on defense and offense, respectively. I could tell you, I think Bowen Byrum, I think he gets his 9 games. I don't think we've talked about this. I don't think he makes the team. I think the defense is pretty rounded out right now. And I think he could still use some time, to be honest. But I think he does get that 9-game trial, kind of like we saw Martin Kaut last year, before they send him back to the WHL, which I don't even know if that's even going on right now. So that might play a factor as well. And, one of the things that the NHL is talking about doing when they do restart is expanding the active roster from 23 to 30. So they could potentially, without having to pay them NHL salaries, they'll get paid their AHL salaries, but get an NHL per diem, which is nice. So I could see that happening, kind of like the taxi squad, the Black Aces we saw during the Edmonton playoff bubble for the Stanley Cup playoffs last season. And I think he could be a part of that for sure, just to get some more practice time with the team. And, I don't know if the WHL and the Vancouver Giants are playing right now, so I don't know if that would be an option for him to get sent down to. So that might work out really well in the Avs' favor to have that expanded roster and have him, you know, skating with his future NHL teammates, you know, day in and day out. Yeah, long answer, long. I think Bowen Byrum, I think he'll get at least 9 games in the NHL before they bench him. Newhook, I don't think so. I think he signs his ELC by the end of the season, but I think he will go back to Boston College, and they want to rush him. You know, we talk about it with Tyson Jost a lot, and I think that's part of the issue with him is he got rushed through the college rankings, and I think the Avs learned their lesson on that. And I think Newhook is going to be a very, very special talent. He's going to be potentially a top 6 guy, middle 6 at worst guy for the Avalanche. I'm really, really excited about him. He's honestly, I would put him above Bowen Byrum personally, as far as excitement levels go, and, you know, potential. I think he's going to be a guy that will shock this league. I think he's just a raw, talented kid. He's super nice. I've talked to him over the phone a couple of times, and I think, yeah, he's going to be the real deal. I don't think he plays this year, but I think next year he's going to have a shot for sure.
Yeah, the Avalanche having, that's what I meant to say, the Avalanche having such depth, as we again discussed on our 2.5 hour long conversation on Mile High Pundit podcast. The Avalanche having a lot of depth is so beneficial in regards to developing players properly. And the adjective that I used and coined was, you don't want to fall into a Jostian situation. You know, it's like you don't want to fall into that by any means. Yes, I'm so glad you guys love that term. That's why I brought it up again. I'm like, oh, I love it. I'll use it again. Might as well.
There we go.
But yeah, so to see that tweet, that kind of response, and to see Bowen Byron's name, just refer to him by his first name and then refer to Alex Newhook by his last, kind of threw me for a loop. I
thought that was, I was like, what is that? That's
I saw Bowen, and it was like, I all I could think of was Gowan Field. Gowan Field is spelled the exact same as Bowen, but Gowan Field's out in Boise, and so I pronounced it Bowen instead of Bowen. So that's why I did that, because it kind of threw me for a loop. But anyways, that's my excuse for mispronouncing Bowen Byram's first name. So anyway, next question will go to Gil Manclaw, or Main Clang. That's a tongue twister. Gil Main Clang at Gil_Main Clang. Just read the article, the Forbes article, I should say, stating the Avalanche were valued at $465 million, good for 22nd in the AHL. I thought they would be higher. What's holding back the Avs from being in the top 10? Scott, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy. I read that same Forbes article too, and it kind of mentions it in the lead. Is a lot of it had to do with COVID. You know, obviously canceling, you know, the last few games there and not having the playoff revenue, whatever it might be, that hurt a lot of teams. I think the average, it says in this article, is like every team's down like 2% from their last year. The Avs are as well, down 2%. That definitely hurt. Also, I think maybe kind of a dark horse candidate for why they got hurt so bad is that, you know, part of the money that goes into these teams is our TV deals. And of course, we in the Denver metro area, and I guess the greater Colorado area, know all about the Comcast and Altitude TV dispute there. And I think that hurt them quite a bit. You know, that a lot of fans couldn't watch their team on television. So I think that would have boosted them at least a couple points. I don't know if they would have gotten to the top 10. I don't think they're there yet. They're building towards it for sure. You know, we got the superstars. They're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup heading into this shortened 56 game season if it happens. I think we'll start seeing those numbers rise for sure. But until then, they're still a humble team. But I think they'll get top 10. You know, maybe next year or the year after that.
And if I may add something to that, those were excellent points, by the way. But
Thanks.
Maybe another dark horse candidate is, Stan Kroenke is more focused on his other sporting ventures other than the Avalanche.
Yeah, he loves his LA Rams. That's for sure. They got that beautiful new SoFi Stadium, and fucking that costs like I don't even know how much. It might be like the most expensive stadium built. It's beautiful. That's great. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't think Stan Kroenke's ever been to an Avs game. I think it's his son's pet project kind of thing, which is fine. That's okay. But yeah, I think a lot of people have their qualms about the Kroenke family and the Kroenke enterprises, but it is what it is. We have an owner that's got a lot of money, and maybe one day he'll start divvying out some of that cash to the lesser Avalanche team. Not as exciting and not as a big market as Los Angeles and the Rams that just moved down there, but we'll see. I mean, winning a Stanley Cup will certainly grab his attention for sure. That's where it starts.
Yep. Yeah, if they make a deep playoff run, you'll definitely see Stan Kroenke in the luxury box,
in the press box
at Ball Arena for sure.
He's got a house. I mean, he's got a house built on top of Pepsi Center. I don't know how many people know about that, but he takes his own elevator up there. Not many people have seen it. Yeah. God, who did I talk to? I don't know. I talked to when I was interning with the Avalanche. Talked to a couple people, and they said like they have been up there. Like only a handful of people have been up there for like a team party. I think it might have been after the Stanley Cup actually, like 2001. But yeah, I hear it's beautiful. I don't think he ever stays there. He kind of just hosts like little parties up there. But that's on my bucket list. I want to head up there. I don't even know what the secret elevator is. It's guarded by like security. It's wild.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. He built out a larger press box so he could have more room, but doesn't really ever show up. And he's got a house on top of Pepsi Center. And yeah, he just doesn't really talk about that team too much, but that's okay.
Yeah. LA Rams, NFL with the big cash cow that it is, of course he's, putting in a lot of attention to that, which is understandable.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the soccer team too. I forgot about that. Is it Liverpool? I think he owns Liverpool, which is another huge franchise. So yeah, right. on the totem pole, understandably you have the Avalanche, kind of towards the bottom because that's not necessarily the moneymaker when the candle you're being held to is Liverpool Football Club and the LA Rams. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But
yeah, easy to play third fiddle to those franchises, but anyway. So next question, Kayla Maxwell at KPIE89 on Twitter. I'd like to know how everyone kept busy after the Avs playoff run ended.
Is she talking about us? Like, how did we keep busy, or is she talking about the players? I guess we could answer it both ways.
Sure. Let's start with the players.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't follow too many of them on like Instagram. I know Gabe Landeskog stayed local. I think a lot of players just go home. That's kind of how it is. Captains generally stay, where they live. So Gabe Landeskog having that newborn and living here in Cherry Creek, I think he stayed and was chilling with his family, quarantining, being responsible. I guess I don't really know anyone else. I know I've seen a lot of videos of Nathan McKinnon on Twitch. He's big into Fortnite. I was playing with Matt Nieto and all those guys, and I think he like live streams like every day. Long Beach native Matt Nieto. That's the one. Yeah, I guess they're just playing video games and chilling. I think Nate went home too. He always goes back home to Nova Scotia, and that's all I know. I don't know. Everyone else is probably just chilling, being responsible. I hope quarantining. Not going on public, wearing masks to try to get the season going as quickly as possible. But as far as us, I don't know. I didn't do anything. I got a new job. I've been keeping busy doing that and kind of writing on the side. It's tough to find content to write about these days, but you do what you can. You write a lot of columns and you have a little fun with it. You get creative. But I've been chilling, quarantining, being responsible, not hanging out in groups larger than 5. And that's it.
Same. No, I'll elaborate a little bit. Yeah. I mean, starting this new venture, end of November is when I really was offered, a position over at Full Press Hockey to, like I said, help launch and kickstart their AHL coverage over there. And that'll be happening at the end of the year. So just kind of, lining up a new AHL editor for the Sin Bin. There's going to be 2. There's going to be an AHL editor and associate editor. We will announce those soon to the general public. Gosh, excuse me, I'm really burpy. Maybe this is why I don't drink beer during the podcast. Do that.
Yeah. I've been trying to silence mine too. It's like, this is tough.
Yeah, just gotta mute on StreamYard here. But yeah, so yeah, just finding content in different ways, whether it be personal stories or different feature stories about history or, the Utah Grizzlies, the ECHL affiliate of the Eagles, just trying to keep busy that way. And like Scott said, not hanging out with big groups of people and things like that, and trying to, slow the spread, flatten the curve, insert phrase here of how to curb the coronavirus, so yeah, if you're asking about us, then that's our answer.
We're
So
chilling. Yeah.
we're chilling.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it.
All right. A couple more questions. Well, one's a question, one's a statement. Kelsey Sullivan at Kelsey S 310-77204. That kind of sounds like a spam account, but it's actually an account. there's a picture, there's actual tweets. It's not, it's not a bot for sure. Who do you think will lose? We, as in the Colorado Avalanche, who do you think will lose to the Kraken expansion draft? And this is something we've tackled before, but Scott, has your answer changed at all?
It might have. I'm actually in the process of writing maybe a 2, 3, 4-parter. We'll see how it's getting kind of long, but just kind of like breaking down who I think will be exposed and some of the players I think it might be. And Dater, on our website, Colorado Hockey Now, he had mentioned a couple weeks ago, wrote a story about how possibly Ryan Graves might be a guy that's exposed. I've heard Devon Taves is another guy that might be exposed. I would agree with both of those. I think they absolutely asked Erik Johnson. I wrote a column about this, but I think they absolutely make Erik Johnson sign his or waive his no trade clause, which I think he'll do because he's a respectable veteran and he knows it's a business and that's how it works. But I think, initially a couple of weeks ago, I said it was a Tyson Jost. It's definitely who I said. Because I'm a huge, I'm a huge Tyson Jost supporter. Everyone knows that about me at this point. I still think he's a good candidate to get. I think he'll definitely get exposed. And I think he's a great guy for Seattle to take. I think Seattle will realize that he needs change of scenery. He's still very, very young, 23, 24, something like that. By the time he gets exposed and drafted. I think he'd be a good pick. He's a good project, and he's cheap too. And that's something you got to consider as a new team. When you're picking 30 players, you got to still stay under that cap. JT Compher is another guy, another forward that I think is an intriguing option for Seattle. So I'd say it's probably gonna be any of those 4 guys. I might still, I'm still gonna stick with Jost. I think. Yeah, that's my final answer.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Still final
Lock
answer.
me in,
yeah, we'll find out next off season. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say in Idaho. But yeah, it's that's good. That I think to be able to consider other options and to consider who the Avalanche may expose and whom they may the Kraken may take in the expansion draft. I think that's important. I think that's as a journalist, as a writer, and as somebody who reports on a team, to be able to reevaluate and change your mind, and to really kind of be like, okay, well, maybe, these people, and I know there's going to be multiple players exposed for sure, but that'll be an interesting read. I'll definitely be on the lookout for that article. And I think our listeners should too, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, Mike Crook.
This one's all for you, man.
It really is.
This is nice. Brought a tear to my eyes. It was beautiful.
Mike Crook, no question. He's been diligent about submitting question, but he had no question this time. Just that CC will be missed at the sin bin. Best of luck to him in his future endeavors. And it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be, I helped recruit and build the AHL staff from 4 writers, including myself, 4 active writers, including myself in the off season back in March, to now, a good 14, 15 writers, and to almost quadruple the writing staff this off season to get to know the friends that I have and have made through this website, and not just the AHL team, but the ECHL team as well, with all the people that have written for the Sin Bin in the 2 years, between the AHL and the ECHL. It's going to be a new adventure. It's going to be a new endeavor. And Mike, thank you. Thank you so much for the well wishes and the words. And I'm just I'm ready for it. You know, it's a new challenge after 3 years with the Sin Bin, and I'm definitely looking forward to it and launching, you know, the Front Range Hockey podcast with Scott to expand our coverage, like I said, with Colorado College and Denver University, and throw in some Air Force and broaden our footprint and really start to stretch us, turn the page, you know, insert new beginnings cliche here. It's going to be good. And we're excited about it. And so long answer to a short statement, but thank you, Mike. And thank you for everybody who reached out after I made it public on Tuesday that I'll be leaving the Sin Bin and heading over to Full Press Hockey. And if you want to give me a follow on my personal account, that's where I'll be tweeting my hockey stuff from now. No more Sinbin at Sinbin Eagles. It's going to be at CC Hawk. CC is SEE, a little play on words there on my initials. So CC Hawk, HAWK on Twitter. And you can also follow the Full Press Hockey rather, AHL account at FPC _ AHL. FPC Full Press Coverage. That's the main website and the umbrella covering Full Press Hockey and Full Press AHL. Once again, that's at FPC _ AHL on Le Twitter, as they say in France. So there you go. And Quebec, of course. Can't forget Quebec. So, but yeah, Scott, any parting words for the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast? 8 episodes, and we are gonna say RIP and rebrand. So any final words here for Tape to Tape?
It's been real, you know. I want to thank, you know, you obviously and Sin Bin for getting this thing, you know, up and running. I think it's a cool thing we got going on, and I've had a lot of fun with this, and I'm very excited for your new beginnings and our new beginnings and rebranding to this new podcast. I think we're gonna have a really good time. We're gonna be a little freer with things, and well, obviously expanding our coverage to different hockey teams. I think it's awesome, but we're not going to lose sight of our roots. I think we're still going to talk probably, you know, a lot about the Eagles. That's kind of what got us here in the first place, is as journalists and as podcasters, amateur podcasters now. But yeah, we'll have a lot more stuff to talk about, and I'm looking forward to the new stuff. We got a lot coming on the pipeline. And you know what? As soon as, you know, in 2 or 3 weeks from recording this, we might be talking about actual hockey games. So that's gonna be interesting. And they'll probably come. You know, they've been pretty few and far between, just because it's been a weird off season and there's really not much to talk about. But you know, I think once the season begins, we'll have plenty to cover, and it's gonna be a good time. Stay tuned. Big things are coming. Front Range Hockey Podcast.
Big things are coming. Yeah, Front Range covering everything along the Front Range from Denver to, well, from Loveland, I should say, to Colorado Springs. You know, a lot of hockey. Always been a great hockey market ever since I was a kid, watching Colorado College hockey games rather, at the old Broadmoor World Arena before it was torn down in '94. Got to see the very last hockey game played there, and so that's a neat experience I talked about in one of my recent articles about the Grizzlies and how I got to see the first Utah Grizzlies game, and the last hockey game I saw before that was that Colorado College hockey game that I mentioned. So yeah, it's exciting. It's only 8 episodes in, the end of an era, unfortunately, but again, an opportunity that I couldn't resist and an offer I couldn't refuse. So I took it, and we're moving on. So
do what you got to do, man. That's what it's about.
Exactly. So once again, for Scott MacDonald, I'm CC Hawkley. This has been 8 episodes of the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast. Like we said, be sure to go read Scott's work over at Colorado Hockey Now, and follow him and Adrian Dater, the site's, you know, spearhead. You know, Dater's been with the Avalanche since the beginning. So go read their stuff over at Colorado Hockey Now. Be sure to read my stuff on the sinbin.net. It'll still be up after I leave. I hope they don't take my stuff down. I don't think they will, but no, I kid. They won't take my stuff down. It's a good amicable parting of ways for sure. So So yes, so you can find my work there, and then you can also find my work over at fullpresshockey.com under the AHL section once we get all that taken care of at the end of the year. So Scott, thank you, my friend. It's been a pleasure, and it will continue to be a pleasure.
Yeah, this is only the beginning. We'll tell you that. I'll tell you that to you and everyone listening right now. We got big things coming, and stay tuned.
And it starts with that headset. I tell you what.
Yeah, this is a game changer. This whole like dual setup I have here.
Right.
Shout out to my new employer, for this sweet setup. So
yeah, the headset and the dual monitors.
Quality coming up.
There you go. So once again, for Scott, I'm Cece. This has been real Tape to Tape podcast. Go catch us on Full Press Hockey next month, January 2021, and we will be the Front Range Hockey Podcast. So y'all take care. We'll see you in the Twitterverse and elsewhere. Adios.
See you guys.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Colorado Eagles Tape to Tape podcast. For the latest news on the Eagles, the American Hockey League, and the rest of minor league hockey, visit thesinbin.net or download the Sinbin app for Apple and Android devices.